Hi everyone, welcome to the video. This video we're going back to one of the marks or the types of bikes that we really like on this channel. You've probably seen by now we're back on the Moto Guzzi. This is a bike that is Dave's latest acquisition. As you know, he's had many Moto Guzzis over the years, and this one is quite a rare one. It's a excuse me, a V11 Coppa Italia, which he will talk a lot more about and the reasons why he got it and give us the history of it. But we just had a fantastic day out. It's the UK riding season is back, though you wouldn't tell by today when I'm doing the filming because the weather's changed. But we had a fantastic day, Dave, Stuart and I, so it's lovely to have Stu back doing the videos with us, and the weather was just glorious. It was fantastic. We were kind of in mid Wales, so kind of round the Bala Lake, Tanat Valley area. Lovely riding roads, beautiful day. So I won't blather on too much, just thank you for watching the videos, and to remember to like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind, if you think we're worth it. It's very useful to us if you do, so that would be great if you could. And yeah, I'll just shut up, and as always, on with the show. Okay, so there's Dave, like a mother hen, making sure I go off alright on his pride and joy. And we're in the beautiful little town of Bala, or Tegid, or Llyn Tegid. It's a town that's at the head of a lake, a famous lake in North Wales, and you get a lot of bikers there, especially in summer. It's a beautiful old place. Look at the old buildings. Yeah, I've been coming here since I was a kid. Lovely, lovely. And around here there's some great roads, especially roads to ride a Guzzi on, a Moto Guzzi should I say. So, as you've probably heard, it sounds like a Moto Guzzi. And you see little, the speedo has got, Dave's put like little things on it to so it passes MOT because it's kilometres and it's miles. But there's the Bala Lake on the left. But the bike, listen to it. This is a 100% Moto Guzzi, this bike. Back in town, it's not too bad at 20 miles an hour, but it's just so engaging. Listen to it. It's 100% Moto Guzzi. It's got something the later bikes slightly lack, and it's kind of the link between the old Tonti Moto Guzzis, you know, the big blocks, and the more modern bikes, the kart bikes and the later ones. But this has got so much character, the word I don't like, but it has. Character sometimes implies faults, but not in this case. It's a great bike. It's, I would say, almost perfect for road riding. And the thing that struck me so much about this is the performance. Like, it's how many years old now? It's 20 plus years old, and the road, it's perfectly suited to modern day conditions. It's got plenty of crack, snapple and pop. It handles fantastically, sounds brilliant. So we've got more of an open road now, and it's very good on sweeping roads. It's quite a heavy bike, of course it is. It's a Moto Guzzi of this era, but
handles, it's like the Griso. If any of you have ridden the Griso or any of the kart bikes, they're very stable, not that nimble, but this bike feels, it's got that stability, but it's got that nimbleness as well, and it's got a good kick on the throttle. I'll mention it later on, but it feels very much like the grandfather of the V100 Mandello, and it really does feel like that. This has got a lot. It's similar to the Mandello. It's a lot more similar to the Mandello than it is to the kart bikes, which is quite interesting because it's basically the same engine as in the 1100 Griso, but in this guys it's got more poke. Whether it's lighter, I'm not quite sure. I'm sure Dave will talk about it later on when we have a chat about it. But I really fell in love with this bike because I've owned a Griso in the past, and I've ridden the older bikes, but this is kind of a bridge between them. But it also, as I say, it's very similar to the V11 Mandello. Brakes are great. You've got good brakes on it. It is a heavy bike, so use of the back brake is a good idea along with the front brakes. But for modern road riding, this is brilliant. In fact, I could live with one of these. I'd love a Mandello, but I would be more than happy with this. Dave's bought it as a bike that he can use as a modern bike. So whenever we do tours on it or whatever, it's perfectly capable. And also the good thing with this is it doesn't have that. If those of you have ridden the kart bikes, the Grisos, the Brevas, whatever, that there's a lot of driveline snatch. But this bike doesn't have that, and it's actually not too bad riding it in this 20 mile an hour speed limit. So all in all, brilliant bike. Would love one. That was me going for the indicator, which it shares with the Griso.
Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
Been away for a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
But that's nice.
Yeah, it is.
And we're back. So today we're out on Dave's V11 Moto Guzzi
V11 Sport Coppa Italia.
Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
And we've had a fantastic ride. You probably haven't seen Stu for a while either, because he works so much. We've chosen a weekday to come out. So we're in, is it Mid Wales this?
Yeah, Mid Wales.
So we're in between.
Yeah. Not far from the border, but yeah, Mid Wales.
So we were in between Bala and, where would you say?
What, here? Between Oswestry and Bala.
Bala, yeah.
It's called the New Inn at Ladrinog.
Llandrinog, yeah.
It's easy for you to say.
And it says on the side, 1751.
I love the way it's called the New Inn, 1751.
Yeah,
so the old inn.
But it's a fantastic road.
Yeah.
Loads of bikes out today. And it's the bit from Bala to here is the Berwins.
The Berwyn Mountains, yeah.
The Berwyn Mountains. And then we are now in the Tannet Valley.
Tannet.
The Tannet Valley. And it's lovely. So,
That's the geography
this is for our international friends who are interested where we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, beautiful day out. Had a lovely day riding. So tell us a bit about your bike, Dave.
So I've gone and bought Guzzi V11 Sport. So the V11 Sport was
Moto Guzzi,
because we get told
so much.
Anyway, and that is a model they made from 1999, just prior to the Aprilia buyout. Then Aprilia bought them out, and just before all the new generation then of the air-cooled bikes came out, the Brava actually, the Griso and the 1200 Sport and the Stelvio. So it's just precursor to those, and it used the same frame. They're called spine frames in the Guzzi community. Dr. John Whitner developed the spine frame for his racers.
Oh, it was
copied a brick design, but I can't remember the name of the guy who had the original design.
Yeah.
But it's a spine frame with big alloy side plates, and it was the 1100 Sport was basically the same engine. The Greenie was the first V11 Sport.
Yeah.
But prior to that, same frame, basically the same engine.
Oh, the
was
drop hard one.
Yeah,
with,
the 1100
with
Sport with the half fairing.
I'll put pictures up of these.
And the reason I've got it, apart from it being quite a rare variant, it was just a limited edition with a nice paint job and nice Olin suspension, was I wanted something that had enough character but wasn't going to be sort of too old that you couldn't use it. And somebody wants to describe the 1100 Sport, which is the precursor to this bike, as a Le Mans Mark 6. And that's kind of what it is. It's sort of still got the same engine mechanically, but a non-linkage monoshock rear shock. And I had an 1100 Sport back in the day. I got done for speeding, and when I got stopped by the copper, I got off, and all my luggage had fallen over and was melting on the exhaust pipe. The copper didn't even mention that. It was just smouldering away, you know.
Maybe it was a Coppa Italia. So you had a V11 Greenie as well, didn't you?
I had the 1100 Sport, and to be honest, it was Guzzi's last attempt at competing with the Ducati belt drives.
Yeah.
So they were trying to make it fast and sporty, and it was fast. It was a 140 mile an hour bike, but it had a really full-on riding position. It had the old 5-speed gearbox, which was like breaking a bolt off with mole grips, but it was fast.
Yeah.
Mine had carbs, they later had fuel injection, it had a really heavy throttle. So there was a number of things I didn't like about it, and it wasn't particularly practical. And then when I got the first year 1999 V11 Sport, now known as Greenies, because they're lime green, and we put a picture of one up, it kind of answered all the things I didn't like about the 1100 Sport, even though mechanically it was pretty identical apart from the gearbox.
Yeah.
It was sort of softer, they sort of retroised it a bit, and they stopped trying to compete as a sports bike and just went for what I guess you'd call a character sport bike, you know.
What we'd now call a modern classic.
You might call it a modern classic, but probably sportier end of that spectrum. It's quite a wide spectrum now, isn't it? Everything from Enfields to Thruxton R's.
So it's more like a Thruxton R.
I suppose,
or a Ducati Sport Classic.
Yeah, it was like we said in the Ducati Sport Classic video. I think the V11 Sport sort of predated it as one of the original retro sports.
Oh, there's an idea.
So there you go.
Dave's got.
Well, yeah. And it's not as sporty as the Ducati Sport Classic simply because it weighs more, puts out about the same power, puts out about the same torque, got a nice 6-speed gearbox. And then Aprilia bought Guzzi a year after that came out. And I have to say, the Greenie was a lovely bike, but the suspension was a bit crude, and the build quality was not that great. I had a bucket full of old rusty bolts, and it was only 2 years old. Whereas this one was post-Aprilia. Aprilia changed, they lengthened the wheelbase a bit because it was a bit flighty, and that tended to put Guzzi's traditional customer base off a bit. I never had a problem with it, and some people prefer it. But they lengthened the wheelbase, strengthened the frame in a few places, and upped the quality quite a lot, I would say. Because it was the same period as Aprilia were building really great bikes like the 209.
Yeah.
You know?
And RSV.
And that's got the same suspension as the 209.
Yeah.
The top range 209 with the Olins on it. And the early Olins...
Factory, that'll be,
the factory, Stu. So it's much better suspended than my Greenie, and it's slower steering, but lovely through the sort of sweepies, as you guys have discovered. And it's the last of the line before Piaggio bought Guzzi and Aprilia. Because Aprilia had a load of money at the start. In 2000, Aprilia had loads of money.
Yes.
And then they changed the tax laws in Italy or something, and the scooter market just...
Yeah, was it 2011 that Piaggio bought them?
No, it was earlier than that. It was about 2006, 2005. And that's a 2004. So anyway, but the quality massively improved. It's pretty decent build quality.
So why did you buy it? Because you've got, like Dave's had two V85s.
Well, I've had the two V85s plus all the Kark variations, if you want to call them.
Well, you had a Griso, didn't you?
I had a Griso, 8 valve, had a Stelvio, had a 1200 Sport. So I've had them all, and it's not as good a bike as those, which should come as no surprise. But it's kind of treads that fine line that I want, because I ride old clunkers like Commandos and Laverde Jotas, that it's modern enough to be usable, reliable. I don't have to spanner it all the time. It's quite comfy. It all works. It ticks over. It starts.
And it's got good performance.
And it's got pretty healthy performance, especially in the mid-range, which is where I personally ride all the time, or where I want to ride all the time. And yet it's got enough, we're going to use the C word that you don't like using, character, that it feels, you can feel the lineage much more strongly than you can with something like a Griso.
Griso, yeah.
And what did you say about it after riding it compared to your Griso?
The first, because I've just been out on it today and I had a really good ride, which you've probably seen by now anyway, but it was like, you could tell that the Griso was a generation newer, mainly because it was a generation less Moto Guzzi. So this is quicker than the 1100 Griso. It handles differently, as in it's a lot more lively, but the engine has got so much more grunt. It's quicker everywhere, I think.
You did say that it was like similar to the V100.
Well, that's the other thing. The first thing I said today when I got off was my overriding impression of that bike is a V100 Mandello with all the modernity taken off it.
Yeah.
And what makes the V11 so good, the character, the Moto Guzziness, it's kind of underneath there. And it's got a lot more in common with a Mandello than it does with the kart bikes.
Wow.
I think.
Yeah.
And it was, what did I say? It was like
Taking the cotton wool.
taking the cotton wool off the bike.
Off the Griso.
Off the Griso and the V100.
Okay.
And underneath you've got
the essence that is
the
Guzzi.
essence.
Yeah.
And like Dave's very kindly let me ride his
Concentrated Guzzi.
Moto Guzzi essence. But Dave's very kindly in the past let me ride his California T3.
T3, yeah.
Which
Tonti era, yeah.
I think that's got as much character as the T3.
Well, the
T3 was...
Yeah, I mean...
You can tell it's a 70s bike.
Yeah, whereas
this, I was riding it and I'd quite happily have that as my only bike, which is...
Pretty much what it's my only modern bike. Well, it isn't because I've got the Ducati.
But this weekend you went down to Western Supermare.
Yeah, I did 300 miles on it this weekend.
And if we go abroad this year, Dave will be on that.
Yeah,
and it does all that.
Yeah.
It
hasn't got the comfort over bumps and grease. What did you think, Stu?
Yeah, I mean, to go back to sort of the build, the first thing when I sat on it, it seemed very, like, it looks like it's got Ducati style starter and all the
switch gear and all
that sort of thing.
Yeah, that
again. So when you look at the sort of the clocks and stuff like that. And I rode off on it. The first thing was the seating position. You feel like you're sitting like a jockey on it. However, it was really comfortable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till you started throwing it into the bends you thought, that's, you're just in the right position for what was it, 86 brake?
It's 80. There are 86 at the crank or something. At the rear wheel, you're looking at 78. Pretty much identical to the Ducati.
But it feels more.
It does feel more, because it's lively.
When you think of some of the other bikes with that sort of power, and this is what Guzzi do so well, is they do a balance, don't they? It's such a good balance, and it's in the right place when you need it. And one of those things where when you roll off and roll back on again, with some bikes, you've got a little bit of a lag before anything happens. With that, it's
straight there, isn't it?
Right there.
So it's fuel injected, isn't it?
It is fuel injected. I mean, I imported it from Japan. It'd been sat for, the date code on the tyres, which were cracked to, buggery, was 2009. So it's been sat.
Oh, no wonder I was sideways.
Yeah, I meant to warn you about that. Sorry, Mike. Anyway, but it was sat for 10 years. So
got new tyres.
It's got brand new tyres. It's got new seals in the fuel injection, which were a major job. And I've got to put out a thank you, and I'll put the link out on the forum. There's an excellent, if you're interested in V11 Sports, you think, I want something that's kind of, you might call it an emerging classic, but I'm not sure that's a real thing anymore because, just like you can't sell any classic bikes, never mind emerging classics. We're the last generation.
Fully emerged classics ourselves.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you're interested in V11s, then there's an excellent forum, v11lemans.com.
I know
and there's so much useful information about what I called, what did I call it? But basically just recommissioning, something that's been sat dormant for so long. So everything rubber had to be changed, all the switch gear and the wiring had to be gone through.
I love your clock as well.
Clock.
With your little bits of sticky on.
Oh yeah, sticky tape because it's got a kilometre clock. Because they never imported them into this country. They did import the Cafe Sport, which was in a bronze colour, a bit like the cylinder head covers, and that is identical. The suspension's the same, everything's the same, but they never imported the Coppa Italia. They only did 200 of them, I think, and 50 for America. That gives you an idea.
So how many's here?
None. Oh, there's three. There's three in the UK. Because
What sort of weight is that? Because it seemed to.
About
we spun it round.
200?
I spun it round in the road. A couple
you
of
always
times.
talking kilograms, and I can't do kilograms, but you're talking about fueled up about £530. So that's about 240 something kilograms fueled up. But you can take £10 at least, 5 kilograms at least off when I change out the exhaust, because I've got a very nice titanium exhaust to come
Oh
with
my
it.
Lord! Have we got photos of that?
Yeah,
I'll put
which
those
we
up.
haven't put on yet.
It's beautiful.
And there's a few airbox mods to do on it and things like that. But it's never gonna be a horsepower king. It's just about, and it carburetes or fuels beautifully, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Lovely.
yeah. That
You
was
know.
the other thing. When being in Wales, we have a few sort of 20s where you've got to be chugging along, and it
Yeah.
seemed all right.
It was great. Yeah.
And I said to you, didn't I, when I set off, am I going to be able to turn? We're on a street in Bala, and I said, am I going to be able to turn round? And
It's fine.
Do you know what? In traffic, it carburetes, fuel injections, and
It fuels,
whatever.
yeah.
It fuels better than a V11 or a modern Stelvio.
Yeah.
You get
it's
to
a
20.
really
Well,
nice map on it, whatever it is.
it's the first one. It's only the last couple of years of the V11s they had a cat on them, and they went to Euro 2, but pretty much they were unchanged.
Yeah, yeah.
It
And
was
now they're on what, Euro 5
No,
plus? Or
5
Yeah.
plus, yeah. So they're running a lot leaner. So it's got some of that old school charm. It'll chug around town. It'll honk through the mid range. And Bike Magazine tested one, and Ben Wilkins, who was a journalist, because I read it, and he was a fast rider. He won some hill climb competition. He was a really fast rider, not the kind of person who'd normally like Guzzis. And he said between 60 mile an hour and 90 mile an hour on sweeping A roads and B roads, it was nothing but fun.
Yeah,
And I thought, well, what else is biking about?
yeah, exactly.
What else is it about? I don't give a monkey's what it's like above 110.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing I was thinking. You could have, because it's an engaging bike. You have to engage you. The input, if you put input into it, it repays you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rewards, yeah.
So I was just thinking this would be an engaging ride that you're not going to pay with your license.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, is you can just go.
Yeah, I was riding along on that road, and I was honking along, and I was thinking, I'm going really hard here. And you look down at the clock, and you're doing all right, but you're not at.
Yeah, something's going to whiz past you
Yeah.
if it wants to
Did
whiz
you
past
look
you. But
down at all?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I did.
I was sort of sitting there, and the jacket was starting
Yeah.
to go, and then.
Well, the zip went on my jacket, so I was going like
I
this.
wonder why, mate.
I don't think
Because I'm a
that's
big,
anything to do
fat
with the speed.
pig.
So, Le Mans Mark 6 or Character Sport or whatever, guzziness, character, essence of Guzzi.
And it's beautiful.
It is. Oh, well, I think it's beautiful. A lot of people think maybe the paint's a bit blingy, but I
A
love
lot of people look at it and go, I don't like the screen,
Yeah.
which is an acquired taste, but when you see it in,
it. Side on, I like it.
yeah,
Yeah, and I thought I thought the seat hump looked very Suzuki-ish, didn't it?
Yeah.
You'd
It looks-
put that up against the Ducati.
Ducati, your My Sport
to me,
Classic.
that bike is Gina Lollobrigida.
Oh, there we go, Curvy or
Yeah.
Sophia Loren.
Right, you'll have to Google that, because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
She's the one with the fruit in her hair, isn't she?
But another interesting thing was I went out on it the other day on Mother's Day to get some takeaway for my wife. We won't say what the takeaway was. And I saw two other Guzzis, one old, one new.
Guzzis.
Sorry. On the in a very quiet period, and then I went down to the south coast, 300-mile round trip, and there was another Le Mans Mark II parked next to it the next morning. So Guzzis, unlike maybe old Ducatis or even Laverdas, or especially Brit bikes, they're used. They get used, and that's what I like about them. That's what I like.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're not put away, are they? And the collectors.
No, it's just to be used. But it is.
Well,
I think it's
they've got a
beautiful.
reputation, haven't they? They're
Yeah.
typical Moto Guzzi owner from the old, you kind of used all year round with a slight smell of wee,
Thanks for that. Anyway, there we go. So we've had a nice day. We're sucking
Lovely
a beer. We're going
alcohol free.
Oh, yeah,
Alcohol-free
God, yeah,
beer.
yeah. God, yeah, we're not-
Amazing taste of
It
this
is,
alcohol-free
yeah,
beer.
yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah. So there we go.
Cheers,
So
everyone.
cheers, everyone. Take care.
So hang on. What?
What?
So what else have we got that we can do?
Don't do that coming up for you.
No,
we've
no,
got.
no.
Because it never happens.
It never happens. We've got another Guzzi, hopefully, if I can persuade Keith, a
500
Falcone.
Falcone.
Yeah, Nuovo Falcone.
Yeah. And we're doing-
So what we have got, which is a definite, is both Dave and I last year did a Prescott hill climb. It's called Run the Hill.
Run the Hill.
And the actual money goes to
Blood
bikes
bikers,
from
yeah.
the...
Isn't it run by the Ducati Owners Club?
No.
No, not Ducati. Bugatti.
No, the site
place
is owned by the Bugatti Owners Club.
Bugatti.
So it's quite posh.
I'll just
but,
shut up, eh?
but they let the blood bikers
It has
use it.
got a cracking clubhouse
Yeah.
where we sat in the Malvern Hills, is it?
Yeah.
You sit in the Malvern Hills, the sun was going down, they do their own bottled...
Yeah, the beer's
IPA,
even
you know.
like, yeah.
So but the
Bugatti.
thing I loved about it, it was a real eclectic mix of bikes.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to chat to you and talk about. Dave and I walked the hill just so that we knew where we were riding or where we were avoiding the gravel traps. There was a couple we bumped into them. They'd done it the year before, so they were quite happy to chat and tell sort of how it works out. So we've actually got
We've got two entries, haven't we?
two entries in that, and we both wore our
Someone's nicking your
lemon
bike,
drizzle.
Dave.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Incoming wounded. we both had
Suicide is
we both had
painless.
our lemon drizzle gang t-shirts on, and lots of people said, "Oh, you're here." So hopefully
We'll have some
Mike
video
will be
footage
there.
Yeah,
of all sorts of
I'll-
bikes going up there, and
yeah.
including me and Stu.
So you're going to ride?
I'm not sure. I think the Commando, or because last year I had a misfire on the T140, but something.
And Stu
I
is
will
going
be
to
on
be
the Triumph 900 or a surprise.
Oh my lord.
The other one is we've both got entries to the Marini
Marini
Owners
MRC,
Track Day.
Marini Riders Club track day in Cadwell.
Which I'm also going to go and film.
And you get all
And-
sorts of bikes there.
And what are you going to ride at that day?
I'm going to ride the Jota.
And you're going
And
to
I'll be
ride
on the
Surprise.
it's a Triumph Trident, but it's modified.
Hinkley.
Yeah,
900.
Hinkley 900.
There we go.
Lovely.
So lots coming up.
The guy did say that all the entries of interest, so there should be lots of stuff.
Oh, there's always great stuff at the Marini Club.
So that'll something to look forward to. And I think we're going to do a bear, aren't we? You know, the Royal Enfield bear at some point.
Yeah, you won't see me on that, but
No.
you might do.
No,
In the
Stu's not
background.
allowed to be in that video.
Anyway, so there we go. Lots
Thanks for
coming up.
watching. As always,
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Summer's here. The Lemon Drizzle boys are back.
Boys.
Boys. See ya.